Hi, I'm Sean Bible with Bible Law Firm. I'd like to talk to you today about an uncontested divorce. You see a lot of stuff on the internet, do-it-yourself divorce kits, that kind of thing. Uh, it's probably not a good idea. It's probably better if you get an attorney. It is possible in some simple divorces for you to do your own divorce, especially if you don't have kids or property. But most people probably need to at least consult with an attorney. Uh, if you're getting divorced, there's basically two things that can happen. One, you can come to some kind of agreement with your spouse on all issues, and that's what's called an uncontested divorce. The alternative is a contested divorce where a judge or sometimes a jury will decide what happens. But today, I just want to talk about uncontested divorces. Let's say that you and your spouse want to get divorced, but you're able to civilly discuss the issue. Perhaps there's not a whole lot to dispute. Maybe you don't have children, maybe you don't have property, or maybe you've just worked out everything that could be contentious in divorce. You've talked about civilly, and you just want to go to court, get divorced. You've worked everything out. What would happen is you contact an attorney. That attorney gets some information from you. It's fairly uncomplicated if you don't have children and you don't have property to dispute. If you do, then the attorney, even if you're in agreement to everything, will probably need to get involved. The way it generally works is you'll see an attorney. The attorney can only normally represent one party. You give the attorney the information, basically give him or her the outline of what you and your spouse have agreed to. That attorney draws up what's called a compromise or a settlement agreement, and it puts into legal language, and sometimes these documents, even simple divorces, can be 10, 12 pages long, and the attorney puts in the legal language everything that you and your spouse have discussed. Both parties sign that agreement, and then your attorney will file the complaint for divorce, file the settlement agreement, and a court date will be set. You go to court that day, and if everything's agreed to, if everything's been done properly, the judge will sign off on it. Usually an uncontested divorce, from beginning to end, from the time you walk into the attorney's office, from the time you leave, you're looking at probably about 90 days, 60 to 90 days. One thing that can slow things down is once you file, you can't get divorced just the next day. You have to wait 30 days after the complaint's filed, even if you're in total agreement. Some things that can complicate even an uncontested divorce, if you have children, child support. A child support worksheet has to be done if there's children if there's minor children. One party, the party that doesn't have custody, is going to pay child support to the party who does have the children most of the time, who has what's called physical custody. A child support worksheet has to be done. It's just it's pretty much an Excel spreadsheet. It's put out by the state of Georgia. Your attorney will plug in numbers, both parties' gross income. If one party pays for health insurance, it can get a little complicated. But at the end of the day, that child support calculator, that spreadsheet will spit out a number. But you need to file that with your settlement agreement, even if it's an uncontested divorce. So that can complicate things a little bit. Another is property. You probably need, if you have a house, own a house, retirement accounts, that kind of stuff that you're splitting up, you probably need an attorney to help you with it. For example, let's say you both own a house. Let's say the house is in both your names, you and your spouse, and you want to separate it. There's really some precise language that needs to be added into that so you don't run into problems later. And what the attorney tries to do when they draft the settlement agreement, their goal is for you not to have to come back to court, that all the language is so clear that both parties know what they have to do. Because coming back to court, honestly, if you file a motion for contempt or a motion in any such way to clarify an uncontested divorce, a settlement agreement, you'll end up spending more on legal fees for that than you did the divorce itself. So it's very important that everything's clear and that both parties understand what their obligations are. And that's probably the most important thing an attorney can do in an uncontested divorce. But thanks for listening, and I'll be back next week with a blog about contested divorce.